You again chose a very left field out of nowhere. Like, how about we do jokes in prison?
Yeah.
The Wholesome Prison Blues.
Wholesome Prison Blues, mate. So this...
And it's been class. Like, I came as I saw this show, and it's been fucking... I've been loving it.
Thank you. Cheers. We kind of struggled through the Fringe because the room we had was far too big for us.
Yeah, fair enough.
We had a...
I mean, by fair enough, I mean, I can understand how can the...
But I'm getting ahead of the story. We'll come to how tough the Fringe was. So, yeah, the Fringe last year... Jack, I and Paddy were driving back from the Fringe, and we started talking about a comedian we know who she'd had half her audience walk out in the middle of her set.
That's the joy of the Fringe, man.
And Jack Trainor's sitting in the back of the car, and he's like, "We should be able to fucking lock the door on these cunts until we're finished."
That's the Jack we know and love.
Aye. And then at that moment. And I said, that's your ultimate captive audience, like locking the doors. And And at that moment, Johnny Cash's Wholesome Prison Blues came on. No, it wasn't. It was San Quentin, which is the jail song, his most famous jail song. And Paddy went, "No, that's your ultimate captive audience, like in a jail." And I went, "Oh, it'd be cool to do a gig in a jail." Right? And we all laughed, right? And that was it. But for the rest of that month, I was like, why can't we do fucking gigs in jails? So I kind of reached out to every prison in Scotland, and this is where the luck comes in as well, because as I was sending emails to prisons saying, "Would you want to do a comedy show?" As I was sending these emails out, the Scottish Prison Service, they were sending emails out to prisons going, "Right, well, we've recovered from COVID. We need to start putting on some live shows and entertainment as rewards for the prisoners." So
for just getting through.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what social distancing in prison looks like.
I mean, it was tough. Like, it was a proper lockdown for a lot of the prisons for a very long time.
Right.
But they're obviously limited in what they can do for that as well. So before COVID, like, they used to get comedians going in, very occasionally doing shows. Like Kevin Bridges did it.
Oh, okay.
Fucking like CMB, he's done it. Viv G did it. All these kind of guys who have been in prison, like the more experienced acts, they were doing that before COVID, which I had no idea about.
So it's not for the people, because obviously we're gonna get to, like, some people start kicking off about it. It's like it's been done before.
Aye.
You just organised it more, and you just went. You did the whole tour.
Yeah. So I was like, well, if we can do one gig in one prison, that'll be amazing. So I just kind of spread our bets by contacting the majority of prisons in Scotland, and some of them came back straight away and went, "This is brilliant. This is amazing." So I kind of knew the genesis was going to be myself, Jack and Paddy, Paddy Linton, Jack Trainor and myself, and I wanted Eddie McKenzie as well, because I wanted to see Eddie do his Mad Dog 2020 song in prison. I thought, that'll be, the place will be an uproar. So I met up with Paddy, and he's like, "Listen, I think we can do 6 of us, like a team of 6. And I was like, "Well, let's go away and we'll have a list of names. You and I will have a list of names about who we think suitable, because not everybody's comedy is going to be suitable, or not everybody can handle the pressure." So we went away and we came back, and the first 2 names in both our lists were Mikey Motion and Amanda Hussey.
Yeah.
And we were like, "That's it then. That's the team." So so we've been doing gigs in prisons regularly since November last year, right up to the Fringe there. So we've done Ballini a bunch of times. We've done Edinburgh Prison, Shotts, Pullman, Idlewell, which is a private prison, which is a totally different kettle of fish because it's a private prison. We've done Lomos as well. The first Wholesome Prison Blues gig was in Lomos, which is the Bishop Briggs, the top of Glasgow. That was fucking amazing, because we didn't know, we had no idea what we were walking into, and we didn't know if it was going to work.
Yeah, like, I'm curious, because like before any gig, there's that 5 minutes before, like, this is not going to be funny. The mind games, that part of your brain is like, this is bullshit, this is leave, leave, get out.
Exactly.
And then you can get out.
Exactly, yeah. So the gig in Lomos, it was the end of November 2022. Eddie couldn't do it because he was being Santa Claus in Edinburgh, and Mike had a family thing on, so it was myself, Paddy, Jack and Amanda. And just walking in that prison, I think we were all laughing, what the fuck are we doing here? Because we didn't know if it was going to be well received or not. And we went out, and the four of us, every single one of us fucking smashed it, particularly Amanda. And Amanda was probably more nervous because she's a woman walking into an all-male environment.
Yeah, and that
environment's a prison.
And as far as I know, prisons and male prisons are not known for their, big feminist agenda.
Yeah. But she fucking smashed it, and like everybody got an applause break as well.
Really?
And like, as a comedian, I think if you're doing a short set, a 5-10 minute set, if you get one applause break, you've done well. That's a victory. And
yeah, we did.
Everybody got an applause break, and it was a Thursday afternoon as well. So comedy isn't built for Thursday afternoons. But
well, in a prison, I don't know. I think for them that was the weekend.
Aye. So
I don't know, but
yeah. So it's that first gig, and we're maybe onto something here. And we'd spoken to some pro acts before we did the first gig, and they were like, won't work, you can't do a mixed bill in a prison, they only want to see one or two people. And these were people that were fairly well versed in doing prison gigs, and they were like, nah, it's not going to work, because you'll die on your arse. Just I think their experience was, when they've done prison gigs, it's like one or two acts.
I mean, yeah, but it also depends on who you're. Like, if you're supporting someone like Kevin Bridges, then okay, fair enough.
Oh yeah, aye.
Then you're a support for Kevin Bridges. Yeah. They're there to see Kevin Bridges.
Yep.
But if there's people that they're not necessarily that famous, or it's not like they have an audience that everyone's just there to see them.
Yeah.
Then they all have a equal chance of.
Oh, doing well, yeah. Exactly. So that was the Thursday. We did the first gig, and then Thursday afternoon, the Monday morning, my email box was full from other prisons in Scotland saying, we've heard about the wonderful work you're doing, can you come and do a show in our prison? And I was like, fucking, we've got them. So I think we've done probably 22 prison gigs now.
Right.
And some prisons we go back to a lot, just because they're good prisons.
What's your favourite prison?
Favourite prison? I think
if you had to go to a prison, right?
Oh, like as a criminal. Some of my materials criminal. Like all the prisons have different things. Like Barlinnie's always a good one. That's Barlinnie. That's less like the toughest prison in Scotland. It's the oldest prison in Scotland. So it's always good to go in there because it's you feel like you're in a prison. Whereas you go
when you go to a prison, you want to feel like it.
Yeah.
You want to feel like you're getting a proper experience of a prison. Not this wanky shit fucking doing.
But then you go into like newer prisons like Lomos or Adderwell, right. And they're new builds. They're about 10 years old. So you feel as if you're walking into almost a community centre.
Right. Okay.
Because it's very modern looking.
And I guess there's a bit more emphasis on rehabilitation.
And I'm glad you brought it up because before we started in Wholesome Prison Blues, I was always of the opinion like if you've done your crime, you should be going into prison, fucking sit in a cell for 22 hours a day and think about what you've done. Right, that was my opinion. But from the minute I walked into the first prison, and I feel quite privileged because I did all the work in setting the gigs up. I got to go out to every prison, have a meeting with the governor, the deputy governor, head of offender outcomes, lots of different people, just so they knew we were legit. And they were all very proud of where they work, and I get tours of every prison in Scotland, and they show me the rehabilitation work they do and the education and training systems. So now I know that going to prison, that's your punishment, is going to prison, but your time in prison is about rehabilitation, education and training. Yeah. So that by the time you leave, you're more adjusted to like work in society. And
just what you said about like, go to your room and sit there. Like, realistically, the people that, not all of them, there are psychos out there. I'm not about to argue that, right? there are evil people out there, but there's plenty of people that, you know, if you already come from a low socioeconomic background, let's say emotional intelligence is not there because you don't grow up in a family where you know they talk about understand yourself and your desires and all that stuff, like psychologically, and then you trying to like you don't even know how to understand what you want and how to deal with these strong urges you're having. And then you really think that putting them by themselves into a room and just letting them with their demons and be like, let's get ready to rumble. Do you think that's going to be the way to get them back to be productive members of society?
It's really not. And there's quite a high percentage of people that are in prison. They're in prison because of crimes they've committed because of a drugs or alcohol dependency. And then the people that have drugs or alcohol dependency, they have these dependencies or these addictions because of some sort of childhood trauma.
Aye.
And that's just men. If you look at the statistics for females, it's fucking exponentially through the roof. It's a lot larger.
The trauma,
So it's not a case of people basically going, I want a free TV, and they're going over TV. It's not that. It's because they've got a habit that they need to pay for, and the only way they can pay for that habit is unfortunately to break the law.
Yeah.
And I was kind of maybe. I was blind to all this before I started this project, and so I like speaking about it. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that, because hopefully there's other people out there maybe watching this that they were of the opinion I was. They just fucking let them.
I mean, someone's still got to kick off, and like trying to be fair. There is some people that again, they're a menace to themselves and society. However. There's also been cases that people we thought were menaces turned out in enough time to turn themselves around and become productive members of society and become good, decent people.
Yep.
So it's not like we're not always the best judges of character.
No, of course.
Like only time will tell. Now again, so you can kick off as much as you want, but the truth is still there that, you know, plenty of people have turned their lives around, and they should be given the chance, and we should help those people.
100%.
Because the more we do that, the more people will likely turn around.
Exactly.
The more success you have, the more people are like, maybe I can try this. Maybe there is a way out.
Definitely, yeah. And it's we've anytime we've had any kind of press or media for Wholesome Prison Blues, on social media, there's always a handful of people in the comments going, why are prisoners getting free comedy? You know, I said, well, why should they not? And you know, it's exactly the reasons you've said there. You know, you've got to fucking treat people well, and you have to treat them like people. If you treat them like fucking pieces of shit, then they'll always act like a piece of shit.
Yeah, and again, and not to take away from like people, you know, are responsible for their own actions, but it's like. This might be because all the acting stuff, but like with acting, you kind of learn to like analyze where people come from and why they believe the things that they believe, and you kind of realize that you don't choose who you are, you don't choose what environment you're born into, you don't choose what information is available around you.
Definitely.
And let's say you're trying to make the best of what you got. Meanwhile, you know, you're seeing your parents batter each other, whatever. Like, it's not that easy. Again, they're responsible, and you know they did those things.
Oh yeah.
But we should also acknowledge that there is redemption and there is such a thing as a second chance.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now you can also talk about where there's the cut-off line. Where you're like, nah, you fucking.
Yeah, that's another conversation. But no, it's actually a privilege every time you walk into prison. And as I say, every single member of staff that we've come into contact with has been brilliant. They've made us feel safe. They've made us feel fucking appreciated as well. And you can tell that they're actually in their job to make a difference in people's lives.
How you said you also did a couple of private prisons.
Yes.
How was the comparison for that?
So the private prison we've done, and I probably shouldn't have mentioned it because of what I'm going to say, but it's a very different atmosphere in a private prison. Private prisons are funded by the government but ran by private companies.
Right.
So the companies get paid per prisoner per hour they're out of their cell during the day. So if you've got a private prison, you're out your cell for maybe 7-8 hours a day, as opposed to 4 or 5 in a normal prison, because the company's making money. So they do get more training opportunities in private prisons most of the time, and I'm probably not the best person to to go any further into that.
Yeah, like to give it in.
But you know, like the gig we did. Just said it. The gig we did there was phenomenal because the guys all got a play piece, right? So we went in, we set up the room, we set up our banner, did the sound check, and then they took us for lunch, right? So we had proper prison food, which we've had in other prison food is available. But when we came back into the room, the guys were already in, and they had like a bottle of juice, a sausage roll, and a toffee crisp, right? And it was a Friday afternoon, but straight away, like, these guys are out there, they're out their Peters, out their cells, and they're excited, and they've got chocolate and juice and a sausage roll, and they're like, yes. So we got a big cheers when we walked in.
Just because you're like,
but because their spirits were up, and we knew straight away this would go be a belter. And like everybody smashed it, but there was guys just fucking like, one guy was heckling a wee bit, and Jack put him in his place, and then another guy was heckling that, put him in his place, and it was just good. It was electric. It was just the atmosphere was good. So we've requested every other prison gives the prisoners a play piece now, but they don't have the budget for that. You know, the food budget's proper tight in prisons at the moment, just because they've got to obviously toe the line and stuff. But it's like every prison's every comedy gig's different. You know, if you play in one club, you play in another club, it's always a different atmosphere, and it's the same in the prisons as well.
Did you ever, like, some of these questions probably have answered already, but like playing these gigs, obviously you get a feel of the crowd as you're playing it, and sometimes you go, okay, that's a line. Did you ever feel that of like, okay, let's gently pivot from this?
So there was a gig we did. It was before the Fringe last year, and I do a bit about Def Leppard.
Yeah.
And it's an amputee joke because it's about the drummer from Def Leppard who had an arm amputated. And halfway through this joke, I was balls deep in it, right? I had to finish it, but halfway through, I looked along the front row, and at the very end there was a prisoner in a wheelchair, with what was a very clearly freshly amputated leg.
Oh no! Right? Oh bless your soul. That's.
And I paused just for a minute, right? And everybody in the room turned and saw him and fucking laughed because they were like, "Oh, he's fucked it." So I had to finish the joke, right? And straight away I was like, "Sorry, mate. What's your name?" Blah blah blah. I says, "Can you play the drums?" Right? And he went, "No." He said, "I tell you what, I can't fucking play football either." And the place erupted. It was brilliant.
Nice. That was good save.
It was tough, yeah, but I like there's some material that probably isn't suited for prisons. You know?
Yeah.
And then particularly when we do the female populations, we have to tone it back even more.
Yeah. Because
we don't want to trigger anybody or, you know, give them any flashbacks to negative experiences. So sometimes you have to be a bit more careful about your material. However, before we did any Wholesome Prison Blues gigs, the line was, "Don't talk about this, don't talk about that, blah blah blah." And then as we're more experienced, they're now saying, "No, you can be a wee bit freer," you know.
Yeah, because now there's a bit of trust element of it as well.
And they know that we're not there to cause offence. We're there to entertain. So we certainly now have a lot more freedom doing the prison gigs than we did when we first started. Just because they know us and they know. And
I think this is a very specific. It's not like they're coming to see your show at the Fringe. Or like, this is my show. I'm going to do my fucking show. You're going into their establishment. You have to respect their rules as well.
Definitely.
So that's fair enough.
So and Jack Trainer, he's got a brilliant bit because. The first time we did Edinburgh, big up Jack. Fucking, I'm surprised he's not been in this podcast. He's been in every other.
He will be. He's on the lineup.
Jack was asked specifically the second time we went to Edinburgh Prison, and I'll not ruin the joke because he does material about it now.
Yeah.
But you see, he was asked specifically, "Don't do this joke," because there's somebody in the crowd that this joke turn that could be about.
Oh.
So Jack was like, wait a minute, there's a fucking email going about the Scottish Prison Service about my material, and they went, yes, pretty much, so you can't do this joke. And he went, oh. But even then, like, you could, and we were all laughing, but you could see the cogs going, and he's like, oh, this is brilliant, So, and
The joke you can't even tell in prison.
yeah. Oh, you couldn't tell to this particular crowd, because there was one person in this crowd that was maybe guilty of such a thing. But go and see Jack Traynor, or come and see the Wholesome Prison Blues.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, it will be coming at the Glasgow Comedy Festival as well.
Saturday 23rd of March at Blackfriars.
Yeah, it was quite funny actually.
Tickets now available. So we did the Glasgow Comedy Festival last year.
Yeah, a bunch of your venues.
Yeah.
You want to tell me about that, because that was class.
So for the comedy festival, we did 6 shows.
Yeah.
4 of them were public, and one was in Lomos Prison and one was in Barlinnie Prison, and we actually got Barlinnie Prison registered as an official venue for the Glasgow Comedy Festival, which you couldn't buy tickets for. But it was just from our point of view, it was a cool marketing thing.
Yeah.
Because we wanted people that maybe didn't know what show they were going to see. Right, where's showing comedy shows? And they go, Barlinnie Prison, why is that on there? And that led to a lot of sales for our public shows.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Which was good, yeah.
Yeah, there's something about doing mad stuff every now and again.
Oh,
Just not mad, but something just out there.
Yeah,
People go,
Aye. So we're...
what's wrong with these boys?
Yeah, wrong these maniacs. So we're just doing the one public show at the Comedy Festival in Glasgow this year, but we're hoping to do maybe 2 or 3 inside Barlinnie, and maybe go back to Lomos Prison as well, as part of the Comedy Festival.
Nice.
Which is good, because it means the guys we're performing to, they just feel included in something bigger than their day,
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you some of the first gig we did in Lomos Prison, going back to that, there was one guy in the crowd, and he was sat away from everybody else, so he clearly wasn't in a group, he maybe wasn't a popular guy. And the 4 of us noticed him straight away, and like he laughed at every punchline, every setup, every fucking segue, right? He was just having a ball. And see, for that hour, this wee guy wasn't in prison, he was in fucking like the Comedy Store. We were able to take him out, his experience, for an hour, and he was loving it, and we all noticed that, and we all said, like, if we do nothing else with Wholesome Prison Blues, we've done that for that one guy.
I mean, he's reminded there is
there's
hopefully
stuff out there.
Unless he's laughing at like,
these pricks think they're funny. This is ridiculous. No, I can actually still see his face just fucking laughing away, and it was brilliant. So yeah, I would like to think we'd maybe touch more people, in that way, and just take them out their environment for an hour, and made them feel as if they are in a comedy club.
Yeah. Any bad heckles? Any?
So there are some, like in the prisons,
nothing that ruins material, but
again, there's just a couple of people fucking stepped on material because they've seen the punchline and they shout it out. But you've got to address that, because if you don't address it, the same as any other comedy club, if you don't address a heckle, somebody else is going to fucking jump in as well. So it sounds like such a marketing thing. There are bad heckles, but we all do material about them, so I don't want to say them
so
here.
No spoilers. Yeah.
So again, 23rd of March, Blackfriars, 6 p.m.
Nice.
But no, that is just a wild thing, like going into prisons, and it's quite a niche thing as well, because we're doing it, as you said earlier, we're doing it as a tour.
Yeah.
We built it as a tour of Scottish prisons rather than just like a one-off gig.
Yeah,
what was done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's as you said, it's a unique thing as well. But it's hard not to see sort of, from my perspective anyway, the benefit of creating like just hope, if nothing else.
Yeah. One of the things that Paddy and myself are going to do Starting next year, we're actually going to do stand-up comedy workshops in
Right, okay.
prisons, which it'll be like a 6-week course. We'll maybe go in 2 days a week and just sit down with a small group of guys and build a 5-minute set for them each. And at the end of the 6 weeks, they'll be able to perform to a small group of family and friends, hopefully. And just so
Over the phone and the...
no, it'll actually be in the prisons. Like you can have visitors going into prisons for. I mean, they obviously get visitors anyway, but you're allowed to have visitors, extracurricular visitors for special occasions. So the prisons that we're negotiating it with just now are quite happy for that to happen as well.
Okay.
But that's so it's not just teaching them stand-up comedy. We're just not, it's not just fucking how to tell dick jokes. It's transferable skills that will hopefully when they leave.
It's communication.
Yeah. So it's communication. It's how to speak confidently in public. It's creative writing. It's how to read
Self-expression.
people as well. Yeah, self-expression. So it's and there are courses and programs in prison that teach this, but a lot of guys don't want to do it because it's maybe seen as like a weakness. Like, why would you go and do a course on expressing yourself or understanding?
Yeah,
your
this is
emotions?
an interesting thing about like especially in the working class environment. I come from a working class family as well, and it's like some of them are lucky that families kind of appreciate art, but stand up is more available.
Exactly,
and more
it's
accessible.
More accessible, yeah. And it's much easier for a guy in prison to say, I'm going to go to a stand-up comedy course rather than I'm going to do this training course and fucking speaking in public. So hopefully we can roll this out, and we're still doing prison shows. We're in the progress of booking more shows for next year. Excuse me. But I think like maybe Amanda keeps saying like there needs to be a lasting legacy of Wholesome Prison Blues, and I think hopefully this will be the thing, is that the stand-up comedy courses are something that we can do in every prison, and be myself and Paddy doing it initially, but it's maybe something that will continue for years down the line, where get guys are actually fucking taught something fun.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we can steal that.
I mean, there's an example of this. There's an American comedian, Ali Siddiq,
Right.
who he's
Oh yeah.
he went to prison,
Yep.
and he talks a lot. Like there's a whole bit I saw about
Yeah.
a prison riot that took place.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, and it's already out there, but the whole thing is called Mexican Got Boots On, because apparently that's the sign that there's a riot about to kick off because people got boots on.
Fucking hell, right.
And he's someone who's again came out of prison.
Right, well.
I don't know if he started doing stand up in prison, but he's been very open and talking about that.
Wow,
He's
amazing.
been killing it. Like he's been making a living. He's a professional comic now.
Killing it. Brilliant.
Any other crime I can relate comedy to real quick. He's probably stealing them lads.
Brilliant. So that's the good thing about doing these courses as well, is that like we can steal the material because they're not getting a chance to use it for. That's right. Sorry, that's.
It's like, hey, you learned about hope, but let's also discover capitalism.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So it's like going forwards. More prison shows. I think if we're going to do the Fringe next year, it'll be in a smaller venue.